He had won $5 million. In the flight path of Lindbergh. We are coming into Balboa Park, and then there was about 20 minutes that direction. And you'll notice all the trees here in the park. Miss Kate Sessions actually got a job with the city of San Diego. They gave her 32 acres of the park. She made a nursery. She planted all the trees that you see here in the park, and she gave the city of San Diego 300 trees a year for 10 years to plant wherever they wanted to plant them. And that is the reason that we have trees in San Diego today. Off to the left, you're going to see the Comic-Con. That's the newest one to the park. And then next to that is the Air and Space Museum. And then right next to that one we have the Automotive Museum, and they actually have cars in there from every era, and they've all been beautifully restored. And so anyway, up to the left just now, you're going to see the cottages. These were from the 1935 exposition in San Diego, and there's a cottage for each region. On Sundays, they cook you food from their region, and they share it with you for free, so that's not a bad deal, right? And then off to the right, you're going to see our large organ pavilion. It's the largest in the world, and behind that corrugated door is actually the largest pipe organ in the world, more than 4,600 pipes on it, and one is about, the smallest is about a ½ inch, the largest 32 feet. So the only thing John D. Spreckles asked of us is that we would promise that every Sunday for eternity we would have a free organ concert in the park. And so we do. 2 o'clock on Sundays you can come hear your free organ concert, and you can get your free food, so not a bad deal. Here's a little sampling of that organ. We're sitting in front of the Mingay Museum, just in front of us, and they have artwork in there for everyday use, and they even have a Rembrandt. If you've never seen a Rembrandt, you're going to want to go check that out. I want you to notice all the beautiful artwork all over. This is all hand done by the Picarelli brothers from France. If you look to the left, you'll see the California Tower and the Museum of Us, and that's what's on the front of your maps. I wanted to make sure you knew where that was. Off to the right now, we've got about 3 different theaters right this part of the park. But the one I want to tell you about is the Old Globe Theatre. Now, it was patterned to look like the Shakespeare Globe Theatre in London. And so if you look off to the right, you'll see the Old Globe right there. Now, only famous people do the plays in the Old Globe Theatre. So when you're wanting to see some famous people up close and personal, that's where you go. It's a very, what's the word? Well, I don't want to say small, but it's real close in there. So you see and hear everything, and you're right up close with these famous people. It's kind of cool. Anyway, we are on the bridge for the 1915 exposition here in San Diego. And now the Panamanians brought all of these exotic animals and lined both sides of the bridge with exotic animals. And if you look off to the right, you're going to see a little people mover. That's inside the San Diego Zoo. But now Dr. Wedgeforth was walking through this area when everything was supposed to be finished. And all those animals that were in cages had all been left behind because they were supposed to be a gift for San Diego, but somebody forgot to tell us. So Dr. Wedgeforth gathered up all of those animals and started our zoo over there. Now off to the left we have our dog park, and off to the right we have our lawn bowling. Now our claim to fame over here is that Queen Elizabeth played lawn bowling on our lawn when she came to visit. So pretty cool. Come through this area, you're going to see Miss Kate Sessions standing over there in her beautiful dress in the park. Mr. Alonzo Horton, Mr. Marston is sitting down over there. Mr. Morris, now they're the ones that purchased all the land for the park. That's why they're called the fathers. And she's the mother. She said all the trees were her children. And so she would travel the world to find all kinds of things that she could plant here in San Diego and beautify our city. Ingenious guy, I would say. But we're going to see his mansion off to the right as we get up to this light. It's an Elizabethan-style home, red roof, and Tiffany windows. If you know anything about Tiffany glass, it was pretty expensive back in the day. So that meant you had a lot of money if you had those kind of windows in your house. And there's beautiful brickwork on this one too. But off to the left now, you're going to see the long Waterman mansion. Built by Mr. Long, and then Governor Waterman wanted to retire here in San Diego after he was finished being governor of California. So he purchased the house next, and unfortunately he only lived there for 4 months and then he passed away. So there was a couple that was wanting to be married in the house. They purchased it next. Now those rounded windows, those come all the way from France. That's the only place you could get those dressed in. And this gigantic magnolia tree was planted as a wedding gift for the couple that got married there. And so Miss Kate Sessions planted that for them. Today it's one of about 3 of the largest in the world. So that is the long Waterman white trim, and it's just so pretty. Now they didn't tell me much about this mansion because they were telling me how to ring the bells. They think it's lunchtime and they come running. Now we have pretty good weather here in San Diego. And it's about 70.5 degrees on an average day. And then we get only about 10 inches of rain in San Diego, so not much rain here. But that's why when they tell me the next part of the story, I think it's a tall tale, because they say there's a guy that works over here at Lindbergh Field, and his only job is to measure the rain in San Diego. What? He's not doing anything then, so he couldn't live off of tulips. Here we go. Hey, here we are in Little Italy. Now you're going to see a lot of the old and a lot of the new. And the old are the houses that you see throughout Little Italy, so that you can see boutiques today, and so you can go in there and go show the 1800s. And all those people lost their homes and their livelihoods. And a lot of those guys that lost their livelihoods were Italian tuna fishing. Fished all of the tuna out of our waters, and they closed in 1980. Now this is the Piazza della Famiglia, and this is where everybody loves to hang out here in Little Italy. You can sit out here, have your breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and look at that beautiful view of the ocean out there. That's why everybody loves it so much.
It's very important.
The last surviving member of California, the oldest establishment. So it has a lot of history, and you're going to see that as you hang out in Old Town. Now, when we get there, you can either hop on the trolley in front of us and continue on your tour,